Okay, so we're going to tackle this in example in the same way as we did with the others. This is about developing your understanding of the poem and also developing your understanding of how to analyse the aspects of the poem. So we will start with the title, as we always do, and look at the purpose and function of the title. I would say that the purpose of this title is thematic, which means that this is the point right at the beginning in the title where the writer introduces one of the main themes that's explored, introducing the key idea. And one of the key ideas that this poem explores is this question over origin and identity. Okay? And use of the word originally is inferring, so the poem does explore this idea of origin and identity, and the word originally does that because it creates a comparison. So originally says that thing there is somehow different from that thing there. Originally, at the beginning, being somewhat different, being a difference between the here and the then. Okay, so the now and then. And it's marking this idea of now and then and time. Again, another of the key ideas that's explored in this poem. We then open with the first word, which is we, and that gives us a sense in terms of narrative perspective and narrative voice. So what we have here is a first person narration by the poet herself. Okay? So the voice that we hear in this poem is the poet's voice. Now we also know that because we've researched the poem and Duffy has openly declared that this poem is her narrative voice. It's an exploration of an experience that she experienced when she was younger. So we can confidently identify the narrative voice. There's a number of things we can look at in the opening line. We've got the word choice on own, where the place that they come from has a sense of belonging and acceptance attached to it. It's ours. We then have this lovely metaphor where the car that they travel in is being compared to a room. Which isn't just using a metaphor to do that. We also have alliteration on the root side, like room. The similarity is obviously identified by the colour, but it's more than that. Essentially, a car is a self-contained unit, so you can put stuff in it and keep it contained within it. A room is something that you can put stuff in and keep it within it, so it's this idea of the self-contained unit. So we're looking at the metaphor that's used in the opening lines of this poem. With the car that the family are travelling in is being compared to a room. Okay? The colour is somewhat irrelevant in the sense that all it does is it tells us the colour of the actual car. But the reason why perhaps Duffy has chosen to do this is also it enables her to have alliteration on R. So the first thing, just to kind of clarify it, simplify it down, is it's a metaphor where we're also using alliteration with the car that they're travelling in is being compared to a room. The similarity between a room and their car is that both are spaces that they own and have possession of. It kind of suggests a sense of belonging. And perhaps why our narrator feels the need to call it a room is because of the fact that she's seeking comfort, reassurance from something that is familiar. She has just left the room, if you like, the house, the home, the family home behind that was familiar and known to her, and is now going to somewhere that's going to be unfamiliar and unknown. There's a sense that she's feeling insecure, and the car affords some kind of comfort to her because it is something that maintains the familiar. And in some ways she's substituting the home for the car, because at that particular point, that's all she actually has. So I think it creates a sense of comfort and security and reassurance for her as they're travelling. So what we have, and this is where you have to try and visualise it, is we have a family sitting in a car who are travelling along what would appear to be some kind of rural road, in the sense that what they're passing are fields, because as we move into the next line, she describes which fell through fields. So this is the idea that the car is passing along the road and obviously fields on the side at the side. The important part of that particular image is this use of the word fell. And it is a metaphor because cars do not literally fall. So the movement of the car, the actual traveller, the traversing of the car, is being compared to falling. The similarity between them is actually this idea of a lack of control. Now that's not because her dad behind the steering wheel has been drinking and the car is out of control. This is because from her perspective, as the narrator sitting in the car, that's how she feels. There's a lack of control because she's having to move from one home to another, and that's a decision that she has not been able to influence. And what becomes clear as we read the poem, a decision that she's obviously not happy with. So describing the car as falling is actually a kind of a self-projection of how she probably feels at that particular point in time, which is this idea of a lack of control. That's then contrasted with the mother who is singing, and interestingly through enjambment, a delay in the revelation. She's not actually singing a song, she's singing their father's name. So this is a mark in the tone that the mother is actually using when she is talking to her husband. So the word choice on singing marks the mother's tone, and it suggests happiness. And that obviously contrasts with how our narrator is feeling at that particular point. And it also contrasts with how her brothers are feeling, which is what we move into the next line, because they are bawling. Interesting word choice there on bawling, and that has connotations of extreme emotional distress. And what are they bawling? Well, they're bawling the words that are italicized. And what's important to note about this particular poem, that is we have direct speech, and the direct speech is marked by the italics. But also, what we also have, from what the brothers actually say, is repetition. And the word that they're repeating, home, is significant, because that is the source of their emotional distress. And please note that all that they're actually exclaiming, bawling, shouting, crying, however you want to describe it, is the word home. They're not saying, I want to go home. They're just saying home. And that's quite ambiguous because there's a lot of things we can attach to that. One, they're distressed because they are leaving their old home. One, they are distressed because they are distressed because they are going to a new home. And three, they want to go back to their original home. Okay? So there's this kind of, it's all kind of interconnected and interlinked. They're just distressed about home. Where is home? And their distress is a projection of the distress that our narrator is also experiencing.